Most people renovate their home to love it more, but the wrong renovation, that doesn't just look dated. It actually can cost you real money when it comes time to sell. Like I've sat across from homeowners when they're getting ready for this process, and I can tell you exactly which upgrades helped them and which ones that they wish they had skipped altogether. We're going to go over 5 mistakes here, and we're going to start with the life goal, and then we're going to optimize it for wealth, which is very relevant to this particular conversation. And then we're going to focus on the real estate. So let's dive into it with this question that I received earlier this week. And here it is. Weldon, we're thinking about doing some upgrades. New fixtures throughout, an accent wall, maybe some cabinet hardware. We want the place to feel more like ours, but we also know we may sell in a few years. Any tips on what to prioritize? Prioritize. Okay, awesome. Thanks for sending in the question. That question there's so much behind it, but it's allows for this conversation to happen because you can put your money in the wrong places. And they want the place to feel like theirs, which is great. I get it. That's a life goal, and it's a good one, especially since you're going to be living there. But the part of this question that's missing is the wealth side. What happens to those upgrades when it's time to sell? Now, those examples right there, they were pretty simple, straightforward. But in this case, most renovation decisions, a lot of them, they're really wealth decisions because you're not just renovating for yourself. You're actually renovating for the next buyer and how you're positioning your home to sell in the future. Now, the 5 renovation moves that feel great at the time, but they tend to hurt homeowners when it's time to move. That's exactly what we're going to go over. And I'm going to tell you what to do instead, because this is not about renovating. It's about renovating smartly to optimize your wealth. Now, as you're watching this, if you have any questions at all, feel free to book time on my calendar. Link, it's in the caption below. What I do is I talk through these scenarios, actual strategy for your situation, no matter where you are in the country. And then I connect you with a real estate professional. But we go through that life goal, we optimize that for wealth, and then we focus on the real estate, all in an effort to set you up for success and be armed with the right information so you can navigate this life transition with confidence. Here's point number 1, and this is the trendy fixture swaps. So specifically, I'm talking about swapping out all the hardware across the house. So the pools, the faucets, the door hardware, light fixtures. And I'm not picking on anybody who's already done this. The trends, they can look great in the moment. They absolutely can. But a lot of buyers walking through homes right now, then they're seeing the finishes that already make the house feel dated. And this matters because if you put that super trendy look all over the house and then you sell 3 or 4 years later, those finishes, they can make the home look tired. And when you list, that can be a turnoff for buyers. They notice these things. Now, not every buyer is going to dock you for it, but some absolutely will, and they're going to use it as a negotiating chip. And in a market where you have more choices as a buyer, you want to put the best foot forward. So the fix that I'm suggesting here, it's choose finishes with a longer runway. And what do I mean by that? Well, so brushed nickel, warm metallics, mixed metals done tastefully, those age much better than with more, the trendy styles, if you will. So you can get a fresh look without locking yourself into that trend, and that trend could burn out fast. And so you're saving yourself headache in the long run. Now, point number 2, this is dramatic accent walls and the paint that you use for it. So I'm not saying don't do it. Paint, that's one of the lowest cost ways to change how a house feels. In a well-chosen neutral color, that can make that home show so much better. Paint is smart. But here's the thing. When you paint a single wall in a deep green or whatever faddish color is going on right now, the rest of the room stays stark white and it can read very personal. And the personal look, that often reads as work for the next buyer. They walk in and they think, I'm going to have to repaint that. Not an absolute deal breaker, but we're trying to appeal to as many people as possible. Buyers don't love the extra work. The safer move in this case, it's subtle, warm neutrals that make a house feel clean, cohesive, and easy to move into. And if you do go bold somewhere, budget to paint it back before you list your property. We're looking for the most mass appeal. Here's what I need you to stay with me because points 3, 4, and 5, this is where people lose the most real money. Not hundreds of dollars. I'm talking thousands. So point number 3, and these are premium kitchen updates. And that's when you make these updates and they don't match the neighborhood. This is the one that hurts the most because it feels like the safe investment. We've all heard it. Invest in your kitchen, invest in your bathroom. That is true, but we have to do it smartly. So when you say, I'm putting money into that kitchen, that always pays back. That is not always the case. The real wealth reality here is your home gets valued in the context of what's around it. So your neighborhood, you don't want to overinvest. And what I mean by that, if every comparable home in your neighborhood has a fairly standard kitchen, your high-end quartz countertops, the custom cabinetry, the luxury finishes, they might look incredible, but they may not add value in proportion to what you spent. I see this show up the most with military families, and I work with a lot of them. They buy a home at a duty station knowing that they're going to move in 3 to 5 years. They put in $30,000 into the kitchen in year 1 because it felt like the right investment. And then they get the orders. Then they go to list the house, but the neighborhood comps, they don't support what they spent. They might recover half of that. And that gap, that $15,000 comes right out of the equity that they were counting on for the next move. And it's not just military families. I've watched this happen with anyone on a timeline, a job relocation, a growing family that needs more space, a life change that forces a sale earlier than expected. The kitchen, it felt like a sure thing, but the neighborhood, it had a ceiling that nobody told them about. So before any major kitchen renovation, what I suggest is you ask your agent for comparable homes to see what they're actually selling for in your neighborhood and what that ceiling is for the neighborhood. That number, it's going to tell you exactly how much room you have to play, because spending above that ceiling, it does not guarantee you a higher sale price. It might even just get you a smaller return. In fact, that's the most likely outcome. Point number 4, this is the unfinished DIY projects. And holy smokes, this is so prevalent. And it ends up hurting you in the end. What I see folks doing is they move into the house, they're motivated, they start a project, and maybe it's a basement finish here. Maybe it's a bathroom remodel. Then real life happens. Work gets in the way. Kids make you busy, something. We all have something in life that happens. And the priorities, they start to shift. And those projects, they start to stall. Now you have a half-finished bathroom with exposed material, missing trim, maybe some work that was started with a clear plan, but it just never came to fruition. And that becomes a problem because buyers, they don't walk through a half-finished space and see potential. Most of them see hassle, headache, and depending on the condition, the unfinished work, that can actually create issues during inspection or with financing, especially if you're using a government-backed loan like FHA loan or a VA loan. So if you're going to take on a project, make sure that it's one that you can finish in a defined window, or one that you can hand off to a contractor if life gets in the way, because I'll finish it later. That has a way of becoming, now I'm selling it unfinished, and that's going to cost you more money than you realize. Point number 5, this is overinvesting in landscaping. So I've seen people, they put serious cash into their yards, the front and backyard, and especially if it's a new build and that cost is not already included with the price of the home. People can easily spend $50,000 or more, and that's probably on the lower side of the scale, in my opinion. But when they put that serious money back into the yard, you rarely see it all back. So it gets spent on hardscaping, custom patios, built-in features, the elaborate planting systems. And then when it comes to resale, people say, that's nice, I like it, I find value in it, but they are not going to pay for that value. They're paying for the home. And that's the case 9 times out of 10. And the reason why is that the buyers, again, they appreciate the outdoor space, but they don't always value them the way that you do, because what you did was very likely tailored to your tastes. And a project that feels amazing to you, that's not likely to translate dollar for dollar to the next person. And a lot of expensive landscaping doesn't show nearly as well online as people expect. Think about it as Christmas lights during the Christmas season. During the day, those lights look terrible. You have to be there at night for the lights to look good. Well, it's the same way with this landscaping. Whenever it shows up online, it just doesn't show up as well as you would hope for, and it actually can become a turnoff. The outdoor investments that tend to help the most, though, they're the simple ones. And we're talking about just something that's clean, functional, low maintenance. And you're going to be surprised when I say this, not really. A well kept lawn goes so far. So, fresh mulch, trim shrubs, a yard that feels easy to take care of. That signals move in ready. And that's the messaging that you want your buyer to walk away with. Now, here's the bottom line. Your home isn't just a place to live. It's one of the biggest financial assets that you have. Every renovation decision either protects that asset or it chips away at it. So the homeowners that I watched build real wealth through real estate, they're not the ones who spent the most on their homes. They're the ones that spent intentionally and who had someone in their corner helping them see the full picture before they made the call. And that's the difference between renovation that you love and renovation that you regret. I'm Weldon Hobbs. When we're making big decisions, we start with your life goal, we optimize it for wealth, and then we focus on the real estate. Remember, good decisions, they start with good information, and I'll see you in the next one. Friends, if you made it this far, if you have any questions whatsoever, or you're looking for a teammate that's going to help you make solid decisions, book time on my calendar. Look in the caption below. I will connect you with the right real estate professional in order to guide you no matter where you are in the country. My goal is to help you make better decisions to optimize your life for those life goals. Then we optimize it for wealth, and then we focus on the real estate. As always, I'm Weldon Hobbs. I'm a life transition strategist. If you're making these kind of decisions, call me. Book time on my calendar in the caption below. I will walk you through strategies that are going to help you in the end. And then I'm going to connect you with a real estate professional no matter where you are in the country. So that way you are set up for success. You don't overinvest. Whenever you're going through these life transitions or preparing for that life transition, we look at how do we actually accomplish that life goal? How do we optimize it for wealth? And then we focus on the real estate. I'm Weldon Hobbs. I'm a real estate transition strategist. And when you're making big decisions, we start with your life goal, we optimize it for wealth, and then we work on the real estate every time. Remember, good decisions, they start with good information, and I'll see you in the next one.